Now, an Emeritus Newsbrief. I'm Lynn Houston. The Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta says the nasal vaccines to fight swine flu are available throughout the country this week, with the injectable versions to be available next week. CDC Director Dr. Thomas Frieden says the nasal mist is only for those ages 2 to 49 who have no major underlying health problems. Dr. Frieden says they are shipping the vaccine out to states as soon as it is made.
It's a little bit of a messy process, and we do expect it to be somewhat bumpy in the first few weeks, but this is the best way to get vaccine out and available as soon as it becomes available.
And more on this story on the Emeritus News Major Developments page. Job discrimination due to age is the target of a new bill from a group of Democratic lawmakers spearheaded by Wisconsin Senator Herb Kohl. The bill would close the loophole used by businesses from the recent Supreme Court decision called Gross versus FBL Financial. Kohl and the other senators say the decision makes it harder for older workers to win discrimination cases because they have to prove age discrimination was the decisive factor for not being hired or for being fired. The group says this leaves victims of age discrimination with fewer rights than victims of race or religious discrimination. More on the Emeritus News employment page. A consumer advocacy group says bank customers paid over $6 billion more in overdraft fees between 2006 to 2008 than in the previous two-year period. The Center for Responsible Lending says their study of the issue is more proof that Congress needs to better regulate how banks skirt lending rules through overdraft fees. The American Bankers Association says customers would rather have this than have their checks bounce. More on the Emeritus News consumer page. And the maverick Arizona sheriff who had been arresting suspects for alleged illegal immigration has been told by the feds to stop. That the sheriff's department can now only check the immigration status of a suspected illegal immigrant, not arrest them. It's part of an overhaul of practices announced by the Department of Homeland Security Secretary and former Arizona Governor Janet Napolitano. The changes come amid accusations that some local officials are abusing their power to enforce federal law. More on the Emeritus News National World page. The latest on the biggest issues and public policy at emeritusnews.com. And live 24 hours, 7 days a week on the Emeritus News channel on livestream.com. That's an Emeritus News Brief. I'm Lynn Houston.